field, but the evidence that we have is that interstitial spaces protect embryos. We know this. They protect them from mechanical shock. What we didn't necessarily know is that there are these developmental stages in Cisco specifically that even if you do protect them, they're really susceptible to mortality from this movement within a tank. So that's important when you're thinking about ice, right? That development, that important developmental stage was day 8. When eggs are dropped in late November and we don't have ice, you can bet that 8 days into that, those eggs are getting shifted around because they're not protected by the ice layer that should be there. Embryo adhesion is important too. So again, here's a picture from a figure of Murray et al. In 2013 that's uses an electron scanning microscope to look at the surface of lake whitefish eggs. And what you see is this increase in surface area, which is adhesive, and that helps you stick to rocks and protect those eggs. That's going to be a focus of research in the future for us, figuring out what this means, especially when we're talking about raising eggs and hatcheries and translocating them into the wild. Finally, silt hash subrates reduce embryonic survival. And what's really interesting here is when we pair this with studies that we have ongoing in Lake Ontario right now, this is the mussel hash areas, and this is where we get the highest emergence in the spring of Cisco. So this habitat that seems crappy in the lab, in the wild, has the highest production, and it's probably because of this dissolved, this diffusion layer here. So this layer, this depth of anoxia is different in the lab where we have static water versus in the field where we have flowing water, which may reduce the size of this diffusive layer, and now eggs don't suffocate, basically. So in the future, our next steps is figuring out how to measure that layer, going to areas in Lake Ontario and figuring out which spawning beds have this problem, which ones don't, and if we're talking about raising population sizes by moving eggs, so translocating eggs instead of stocking from hatcheries, we need to figure this one out first because this is going to be an issue for us moving forward.